Hi, I'm Colin Shantz from Coppertree Solutions, and today we're going to talk about IT Help Desk. IT Help Desk is typically what people think of when they have an IT problem. And oftentimes when you ask somebody who they call when they have a problem, they'll tell you, well, we call our help desk. And that could be an internal help desk, or it could be an outside vendor. And there's a couple different ways that services are provided on the IT help desk, but primarily it's a reactive service that's designed to solve people's problems when they have them. So if my printer doesn't work, I'll call the help desk and they'll solve it. Or if I have a server problem or I can't load an application, I'll call the help desk and they'll jump on it and solve the issue. There's lots of different ways they can help. Maybe they log in remotely and work on your machine, or they come on site, depending on what the issue is, and they solve your problem there. One of the things when I'm talking to people about the services that we provide, one of the things that people will sometimes ask about is they'll ask about our service desk experience, and they'll say, so tell me about your service desk experience. And it's usually an opportunity for me to help them look at this in a different way and have them look at it from a bigger picture and say, what do you really want from your help desk? Are you really looking for somebody that can just solve problems? Or would it be even better if we could look at it from the perspective of how do we prevent those issues from happening in the first place? I think a lot of people, when they think about IT, all they think about is the help desk, and they're missing the opportunity to look at it from that broader perspective and say, okay, how do we manage our infrastructure? Is there a way for us to develop a strategy, put a maintenance plan in place, and really be proactive about it rather than focusing specifically on the reactive service, which is the help desk? When people think about what they need to manage their IT infrastructure, oftentimes their mind goes to an IT help desk. I need somebody to call when I've got a problem. I need somebody to come in and deal with issues when they happen, somebody to keep my people up and running and productive. And when you look at it from that perspective, it tends to be a limited and reactive approach to IT. So rather than looking at it and saying, how can we resolve our issues quickly? Maybe there's a better way of doing it. Maybe you should look at it and say, how do we proactively prevent issues from happening before they happen so we don't have to call the service desk? Is there a way for us to keep our infrastructure working and not have to call? Some of the things to look for when you're making a selection in IT vendors is things like, do they lock you into a contract? People often ask us, so what's the term on our agreement? And we have a 60-day out clause in our agreements. If at any point you decide you don't like the services that we're delivering, you give us 60 days notice and that's it. And the reason we do that is because we believe we can earn our keep every month. And we tend to build long-term relationships with our clients. And for the most part, once we start to work with an organization and they begin to see the value that we bring, it's a long-term relationship. Probably the biggest difference between the service desk approach and the managed service approach is really the focus on that bigger picture. How can we put your infrastructure in a state where it just works, where your risks are managed and you have the right technology in place versus just solving problems when they come up? As an organization grows and matures, they tend to need more technology and they become more dependent on that technology. And just being able to solve issues quickly is no longer enough. You also need a strategy, you need a plan, you need a good maintenance process, and you need some good tools to monitor and manage your infrastructure. Obviously, you also need good support, but ultimately the goal of managed services is to drive down the need for support and have you be up and running and working all the time. Every organization needs three things when they think about managing technology. They need the infrastructure, which is the servers and the workstations and the network devices, the cloud applications. They need support, somebody to call when there's a problem. And they need a strategy. They need a plan. How are they going to get from where they are today to where they're trying to go next year or 3 years down the road as an organization? And how are they making sure that they have the proper technology in place to be able to support that? Within those 3 items, we have a 4-part process. The first one is VCIO, or Virtual Chief Information Officer. And essentially what the VCIO is responsible for is the ultimate success of IT in your organization. They're responsible for setting the strategy. They're responsible for deeply understanding your business and figuring out, okay, if that's where you're going as a company, here's what needs to happen on the technology and the infrastructure side behind the scenes. They're the ones that are coming in typically once a quarter and going over the health of your system with you and going over the report that we get from our technology alignment manager and saying, here's the health of your system based on the analysis that we did, comparing your system against our best practices. This is the health of your system. You're 98% aligned with best practice, or you're 85% aligned with best practice. And really, it's a good way for business leaders to be able to look at their technology and say, how healthy is my infrastructure? And is there something that I should be addressing today? And are there business decisions that need to be made today? So we look at that health score, and then we lay out the business decisions that need to be made. Maybe there's some new security things that are coming down the pipe that should be looked at. Maybe we've uncovered that there's a piece of hardware in your infrastructure that's no longer meeting the requirements or is no longer up to speed. Really, it's about laying all those things out for you so that you as the business leader can make decisions around them. The second piece of our process is what we call technology alignment. And technology alignment is every month a technician comes in and goes through your infrastructure and says, how does this infrastructure stack up against our best practices? And really, it's focused on finding ways to improve the health of your infrastructure and the user experience that people get. We measure the health against our best practices, and then we also go back and we look at incidents that came up in the previous month, and we say, what problems did we have in the last month? And what can we do today to prevent them from happening again? And it's also, we're looking for trends. So maybe there was 4 printer issues last month, and we say, why was there 4 printer issues? What can we do to keep those issues from coming back? And there's a lot of things we can do. Maybe we can change the configuration of the printer. Maybe maybe it was deployed wrong on that particular hardware, and we need to update the process for deployment. Maybe it's a training issue where we need to document the process, and the users, if you want to print double-sided color on this particular printer, here are the 7 steps that you need to follow in order to do that. The third part of our process is what we call our centralized services. And centralized services is monitoring the health of your infrastructure. We look at the network devices, we look at the servers, we look at the endpoints, and it's designed behind the scenes to identify any issues that are happening. So it's an early warning system for us and allows us to address issues before they impact you as the client. If we can flag something on the server, maybe the hard drive is almost full, and we can address that before it actually causes a problem. It's also an automation platform that we use, and it allows us to automate fixes for a lot of little things. So if there's something that we identified, one of our clients, maybe there's a service on a particular version of a Windows server that keeps causing problems. So we'll put an automation in place that says, when this particular service has a problem, we'll run this script and it'll solve the issue. And then the last piece of our process is support. So you can call us, you can email us, we log in remotely, whatever is required to get you up and running again. But really, the overall process is designed to drive down the need for support. If we can get you to that spot where everything just works, it's going to be good for you, and it's also good for us. A lot of our clients have told us that their IT vendor is really good at solving problems, but they don't really look at the bigger picture of the business. They don't really look at how can we leverage technology within our organization. They're not focused on proactively and continually improving their IT infrastructure. And that's why we put together our IT service management process. That's the process we use to work with all of our clients. And our ultimate goal is to be able to show quantifiable value. And that's why we use this process. Thanks again for tuning in. I'd like to invite you to visit us at our website, coppertreesolutions.ca, and contact us for a free assessment.